I spent a week living by the rules of my childhood self. You know that feeling when you realize you've somehow turned into a background NPC in your own life? That was me, 2 weeks ago, lying on the floor of my living room, still wearing my work pants, eating dry cereal out of a mug, staring blankly at the Netflix home screen like it owed me rent. I'm 25, I live in a decent apartment with my girlfriend. She's way out of my league, and for reasons unknown, still puts up with me. And I've got a job that technically counts as creative, but mostly consists of answering Slack messages and pretending to care about things I'll never remember. Somewhere between a never-ending to-do list, work stress, online classes, and the slow, creeping death of joy, I cracked. Not in a dramatic, throw-my-phone-into-a-river way. More like a quiet, confused meltdown. I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to study. I didn't want to cook. I just wanted to disappear into something that didn't make me feel like I was failing at life every 15 minutes. So I did the only reasonable thing. I asked my 8-year-old self what he would do. Not literally. I don't have a time machine. But I found an old notebook while I was cleaning Read, Avoiding Real Responsibilities, and it had a list titled, My Life Arguably Z, Do Not Ignore. It was written in all caps with at least 4 Zs. The Z thing was apparently very important to 8-year-old me. Here are some of the actual rules, exactly as written. Ice cream is always breakfast. Cereal is dessert. No pants, if not 100% necessary. Treehouses are better than houses. Must try to build one. Only hang out with cool people. Cool equals has stickers or knows ninja moves. Lego time is holy and must not be disturbed. Comics homework, always. If you're sad, climb something or eat a popsicle. Don't trust anyone who hates cartoons. They are evil. I laughed so hard I almost snorted oat milk out my nose. And then I did something stupid. I told my girlfriend I was taking a week off life and following every single one of these rules. She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. You mean like a vacation? No, I said, stone-faced. A return to core values. She blinked. Do these values involve wearing clothes? Optional. She said, and I quote, Okay, but I'm not explaining any of this to your boss if you get fired. Deal. Day 1, ice cream for breakfast and no pants Monday. I woke up at 9:47 a.m. No alarm, just vibes. I slid out of bed, walked into the kitchen in nothing but a Ninja Turtles t-shirt and boxers, and grabbed a tub of Ben and Jerry's like I was a warrior fulfilling a prophecy. I ate the entire thing with a soup spoon while watching Saturday morning cartoons on a Monday, and you know what? It was transcendent. I hadn't watched cartoons in years, like actually sat down and watched. I picked Dexter's Lab, then Samurai Jack, then that weird Courage the Cowardly Dog episode that scarred me as a child but now just felt oddly nostalgic. My adult brain was like, shouldn't you be doing literally anything productive right now? And my inner child screamed back, shut up, this is the way. I also texted my 2 best friends from high school and said, you guys still got ninja moves or nah? One of them sent back a gif of a backflip fail. The other wrote, dude, WTF. Respect. At 1 p.m., I declared it Lego hour. I had to dig them out of a box in the closet, but oh my god, the sound of your hand digging through bricks is pure serotonin. I built a spaceship. I don't care that it looked like it'd fall apart in turbulence. It had lasers. Pew pew. My girlfriend came home from work and just stood in the doorway, staring at the spaceship sitting proudly on the dining table and me on the floor, pantsless, surrounded by bricks, watching SpongeBob and eating cereal out of a measuring cup. You know what, she said, dropping her bag. I'm not even gonna ask. Day 2, I tried to build a TREHOSE, kind of. There are no trees on our street. I live in a city. Our apartment has a fire escape and some suspicious-looking potted plants, but unless I wanted to climb the scaffolding on the building next door, which I considered, I had to improvise. So I went full engineer mode and built a treehouse out of couch cushions, broom handles, and cardboard. I dragged it all onto our tiny balcony and declared it Fort Kickus. It had a no adults sign taped to the front, a comic book library, okay, 3, and a bowl of goldfish crackers. When my girlfriend asked if she was allowed in, I made her perform a ninja test. She had to do a somersault. She passed. I spent 2 hours in that thing reading old Spider-Man comics, drinking juice boxes, and ignoring every email I got. At one point, a neighbor walked by and made eye contact with me, 25-year-old man in a cardboard fort, sipping juice through a curly straw. I didn't blink. I just nodded like a king in his castle. Day 3 started strong. I woke up tangled in a blanket on the living room floor, surrounded by empty juice boxes and graham cracker crumbs. My girlfriend had apparently moved to the couch in the middle of the night because my treehouse fort snoring was, in her words, like if a lawnmower and a kazoo had a baby. Still, morale was high. I had no plans, no responsibilities, and no pants, just how 12-year-old me would have wanted it. Rule 6, comics homework always. That day, I was supposed to submit a short essay for my night class, something about digital media ethics. But Kid Me didn't care about ethics. Kid Me cared about who would win in a fight between Batman with prep time and Iron Man with unlimited funding. So I made the executive decision to skip class. Instead, I spent the entire afternoon organizing my comics, which had been sitting in long boxes for years, into what I called the ultimate reading arc. I built a whole spreadsheet ranking issues by nostalgia, emotional damage, and the likelihood of inspiring me to yell, "Let's GOO," at random panels. I had no regrets until 6:00 p.m. That's when I got a text from my professor. "Hey, just wanted to check, are you okay? Didn't get your assignment." Panic, followed by denial, followed by panic again. I opened my email and saw the dreaded red exclamation mark. Assignment overdue, 20% off final grade. My adult brain short-circuited. I stood in the middle of the apartment, clutching Spider-Man, blue in one hand and my phone in the other, mouth slightly open like a fish gasping for logic. I wanted to scream, but instead, I climbed the fridge. Because Rule 7, if you're sad, climb something or eat a popsicle. Now, to be fair, I didn't really climb the fridge. I sat on the kitchen counter and leaned on it dramatically, like a weird raccoon. Then I grabbed a popsicle from the freezer, blue raspberry, of course, and sulked like a Shakespearean toddler. And it kinda worked. It didn't solve the assignment issue, but it gave me something else, perspective. I thought about why I was doing this in the first place, why I had burned out so hard that I thought wearing no pants for a week would fix it. And here's the thing, the popsicle wasn't magical, but the pause was. I hadn't let myself stop like that in months, not to feel guilty, not to plan, just stop, let the world spin without me. I sat there for a solid 20 minutes, legs swinging off the counter, thinking about everything and nothing. The mini meltdown, and a supportive girlfriend. That night I told my girlfriend what happened, about the missed assignment, the fridge climb, the popsicle therapy. She didn't laugh, she didn't scold me, she just looked at me and said, "Honestly, sounds like your inner child is the only one taking care of you right now." Damn, that hit harder than it had any right to. I expected a lecture. Instead, she made me tea and sat with me in silence while we both ate microwaved mac and cheese from mugs. She even joined me in the blanket fort later and read an old Calvin and Hobbes strip out loud in a dramatic British accent. She made Calvin sound like a tiny Shakespearean rebel. It was amazing. Day 4, the accidental childhood reunion. Inspired by the only cool people rule, I posted on Facebook, "Yes, the forbidden land of middle-aged aunts and awkward high school acquaintances." Something dumb like, "Childhood friends, if you still know ninja moves or own cool stickers, let's hang out." Within 10 minutes, I got a message from Joey. Joey, the kid who once dared me to jump off my garage with a plastic bag parachute and then did it himself when I chickened out. Joey, who used to bring fruit roll-ups to school and sell them for Pokemon cards. That Joey. We hadn't talked in 8 years. He wrote, "Dude, you still like Lego?" I replied, "Always." He sent back a location pin and one word, "Tomorrow." And just like that, day 5 had a mission. Day 5, mission, reconnect with Joey. I put on what I considered acceptable pants, gym shorts with a slice of pepperoni pizza embroidered on the left thigh. They had no pockets, no dignity, and zero adult credibility. Perfect. I hopped on the subway to meet Joey at this little local coffee shop/toy store, one of those hipster places that sells organic espresso and $300 collectible action figures in the same 5 feet of space. He was already there, sitting outside, sipping iced coffee like he hadn't aged a day since 7th grade. Still had the backwards cap. Still had that devil-may-care grin like he was about to dare someone to lick a frozen pole in January. I waved. He stood up and gave me a one-armed hug and said, "Bro, you look like you've just come from gym class in 2003. Thanks, I'm living by childhood rules this week. Day 5, still committed." He didn't even blink. Respect. We went inside. He ordered something called a dirty chai with oat milk and anti-capitalist foam. I think he was joking, and I got an orange soda in a glass bottle because that's what childhood me would have ordered. Then he pulled a Lego set out of his backpack. The OG Lego Bionicle. I gasped so loud a barista turned around. "You kept it," I whispered like it was contraband. "Found it in my mom's basement last year. Saved it for something dumb and nostalgic." He slid it across the table. "This is both." Nostalgic build. He built that thing right there in the coffee shop, surrounded by laptops, freelancers, and cold brew drinkers judging us silently. Or maybe they were. Maybe we were just so into it that we didn't care. He told me about his life. Turned out he was a bartender at this underground comedy club downtown, lived with his girlfriend, no kids, lots of plants, and still played Pokemon Go religiously. He talked about school, about the dumb dares we used to pull, about how he once faked an ankle injury just to get out of gym and ended up being wheeled around the nurse's office for 2 weeks. At one point, he paused and said, "I forgot how fun this used to be, just building something and not needing it to mean anything." That line stuck with me. Adults always want hobbies to mean something, to be productive, monetizable, optimized. We forgot how to just play. We built that whole bionicle in under an hour and high-fived like we were 10 again. He offered me half his bagel. I offered him a juice box from my backpack. We were gods. A great shorts incident. After we left, I remembered we were out of milk. Ice cream for breakfast rule is great, but even rebellion needs calcium. I swung by the grocery store on the way home, still in my pizza shorts, still emotionally high from Lego therapy. Big mistake. I was in the cereal aisle when a kid, maybe 5 years old, pointed at me and yelled, "Mom, that man is wearing underwear in the store." Technically not true. But to a child, gym shorts equals boxers. I turned, slowly, holding a box of cocoa pebbles in one hand and a gallon of oat milk in the other, and gave a weak little wave. The mom looked mortified. The kid looked delighted. I tried to walk away gracefully, but the floor was waxed, and I was wearing socks with cartoon sharks on them. So of course I slipped. Cocoa pebbles went flying. Oat milk became oat mist. I did a half-split, half-fall move that felt like it broke time itself. A store employee rushed over, asked if I was okay, and said something into a walkie-talkie like, "We got a situation in aisle 4, man down in novelty shorts." As I lay there, surrounded by cereal and shame, I realized this would 100% be my childhood dream scenario. Because back then, slipping in a store wearing fun clothes, causing chaos. That was peak comedy. So I laughed, a big, wheezy, undignified laugh, right there on the floor. They gave me a bandage and a discount on my milk. I called that a win. A conversation that hit harder than the floor. That evening, I told my girlfriend everything. The Lego, Joey, the slip, the kid yelling underwear guy. She didn't even try to hide the smile. "You're ridiculous," she said, tossing a grape at me. I caught it with my mouth like a legend. "Yeah," I replied, "but I'm joyfully ridiculous." She sat down next to me, a little more serious. "I haven't seen you this light in a long time." I looked at her, me neither. We were quiet for a bit, then she said, "So what happens after the week is over?" I didn't answer right away. Because I didn't know. But I was starting to realize something. I didn't want to go back to how things were. Not exactly. I wanted to keep some of this. The silliness, the rebellion, the joy that came from doing things just for the hell of it. Maybe, just maybe, that's the real point. Day 6 started weird. I woke up later than usual. No big deal, right? But something felt off. Maybe it was the way the blanket fort had partially collapsed on my head, or the fact that the juice boxes had started to ferment into something science wouldn't approve of. Or maybe it was just me. Rule 8, never wake up before 10 a.m. on weekends, unless cartoons are on. But it wasn't the weekend, it was Thursday. And I had missed a meeting at work. An actual meeting, with people on Zoom but still. My boss had messaged me. "Hey, everything okay? You were supposed to present the Q2 updates today." Crap. For a solid 30 seconds, I stared at the message like it was written in hieroglyphs. I had planned to call in magically sick, because Kid Me believed that if you're not having fun, you're probably contagious. But I forgot. And suddenly the rules didn't feel funny. They felt hollow. That little voice, the one that used to yell WHEE during popsicle time, whispered something different this time. "Hey, are we maybe being kinda dumb now?" The rules start to crack. I sat in the middle of the living room, surrounded by crayons, comic books, Lego bricks, and 2 opened Lunchables. Turkey and cheese, if you must know. It looked like a bomb went off in a Toys R Us. And for the first time, it didn't feel magical. It felt like I was hiding. Not living like a kid, just avoiding being an adult. See, Rule 9 was, adults are boring and sad, don't become one. But now I was wondering, maybe adults aren't boring. Maybe they're just tired. And trying. And honestly, I was all 3. Enter the girlfriend rules. That evening, she came home carrying 2 big paper bags and a grin like she was up to something. I brought stuff. She dumped the contents on the kitchen table. Sparkly stickers, temporary tattoos, marshmallow cereal, finger paints, bubbles, and a DVD of the Lizzie McGuire movie. I stared. Are we hosting a kindergarten rave? She shrugged. I figured if you're doing childhood week, I'll do my version tomorrow. You serious? Dead serious. I'm making paper dolls, and we're having chocolate milk in wine glasses. And just like that, the spark came back. Because her rules weren't mine, and they weren't perfect either, but they meant something to her. She started listing them like they were sacred. Sing even if you're bad. If someone's mean, pretend you're a witch and put a curse on them in your head. Always dance during credit scenes. Eat dinner outside when it rains if possible. Her childhood wasn't perfect, she hinted at that, but these little rules were how she survived, how she made it magical anyway. It made mine feel different too. Less silly, more tender. I watched her dance around the kitchen to a Hilary Duff song while blowing bubbles and temporarily forgot I had bills to pay and deadlines to miss. Day 7, the hard rule. That night, I decided to go through my old notebook, the one where I had originally written most of the rules I was following. It had duct tape on the spine and a faded Dragon Ball Z sticker on the front. I flipped to the back page and read something I hadn't seen in years. Rule 25, if people stop loving you, just disappear. Go live in a tree and talk to birds instead. My throat tightened. I had forgotten that one. And suddenly, the whole experiment made more sense. I wasn't just reliving childhood joy, I was running from the part of adulthood that terrified me, the idea of not being good enough, not lovable, not worth keeping around. That was the real reason I had burned out. Not because I worked too hard, but because I was trying to earn my place in every room I entered. The kid who wrote that rule, he was scared. He thought love was conditional, temporary, based on performance. But now, sitting next to a girl who just put a Powerpuff Girls tattoo on my forearm and called it relationship armor, I felt something shift. That rule wasn't just outdated. It was wrong. New rules, old heart. That night, I wrote 3 new rules in my adult notebook, the one I use for real stuff. They weren't replacements, just upgrades. And you don't have to earn rest. You're allowed to exist and enjoy. 2, if you forget who you are, play something dumb until you remember. 3, let people love you even when you're a mess, especially then. Then I closed the notebook and climbed into bed. Not into the blanket fort. Just bed. Because sometimes, being an adult means choosing comfort over whimsy. And that's okay too.